You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey. Disappointing rainy night here in Nashville. Big plays plagued Vandy as South Carolina rolls. Man, this is a quick reaction here. This is going to be not quite the short, but not quite the 30-minute show here. But I wanted to kind of touch base and go over a little bit of what happened and what went wrong, what Vandy can look forward to, where that likely throws the bowl game slot to. But before I get into any of that, this episode is presented by FanDuel. That's right. You can make every moment more. Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, and you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. So just join FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So, look, I want to tip my cap to South Carolina. Okay, South Carolina played a brilliant game. They kind of got through the slugfest that was the first half. I mean, you win the first half 7-0, and for Vandy, you're very much into the game. You've given up a lot of big plays, which was problematic and was probably going to be problematic in the second half. But there was a lot of good things happening with Vanderbilt in that first half, and there was so much promise that you would have not seen that second half the way it shook out, where you had 21 unanswered points in the second half for South Carolina. So, it just honestly, it just comes down to the big plays. And again, I want to give credit to South Carolina. They've been in my comments. They said they were going to beat the crap out of us. They said it was going to be ugly, and well, in the second half it was. And a lot of that was due to Lenore Sellers kind of doing what he's done for most of the year, making big plays out of nothing. I mean, there was one massive play where Vandy had him dead to rights inside the 10-yard line. He breaks free and then completely flips the field, and South Carolina ends up going and scoring on that drive. Rocket Sanders, I said he was going to be a problem, or he could be a problem. He was. He is – that dude can play, man. I was thoroughly impressed with what he was able to do. He was hitting big runs. He was gashing Vandy. He was, a lot of things that he does well. And I thought Dowell Loggins, he's continuing to develop and get better as an offensive coordinator. And he had a really good game plan to get Rocket Sanders involved early, to get Lenore Sellers comfortable as a passer. I thought of all the South Carolina football that I watched, which is not a ton, but every time I watched him, like, Lenore Sellers was kind of inconsistent as a thrower. He was not that tonight. He was pretty on point for the most part. I thought he had a really good game as a thrower. I thought he had a really nice game, of course, as a runner and just as a leader of that offense, because they were struggling at times in the first half. It was tough for them to move the ball. I thought Vandy had a really good game plan. I just thought they ran out of gas. And I think if they would have been a little bit fresher, I think this game would have been closer. Vandy would have had a chance in the end. But when it comes down to it, though, just too many backbreaking plays for that South Carolina made, and there was just too much momentum there. I think after they go up 21-7, that's when you knew the dam was going to break, and it was just that was kind of the point where you're just like, okay, let's just get out of here, respectable. Let's get to the bye week. Let's recover. And then you got a big trip to LSU, which that game is being played right now as I'm recording this. They're driving down on Alabama, but they don't look like world beaters right now. So I don't know how that game's going to go. But, again, I think somebody Dr. Game, Mr. Miyagi, somebody needs to come through and heal this Vandy team because they're just so banged up, man. They just ran out of gas. They just couldn't hang on, man. And this was a good game for a while. And again, I want to tip my cap to South Carolina. I want to say, I know I predicted Vandy to win, and I thought they were going to. I thought for a while, I was like, okay, Vandy's going to be in this thing, and they're going to go. They're going to play hard. They're going to give themselves a chance in the end. Diego football is, he's a special kind of guy, and apparently Lenore Sellers is too. Kyle Kennard, big strip sack there in the first half. Vandy turns him up. Vandy turns over Sellers and is able to get the ball deep into the red zone. And Kyle Kennard on an RPO just beats the left tackle like a drum and is able to poke that ball out and get it right back for South Carolina. I think they go down and score, or they go down and have a field goal attempt. They were able to drive the ball and get it out of there. So just those guys are special, man. They erased a lot of things. They made a lot of mistakes, but it was outstanding. But just wanted to again, hats off there. We got a few more minutes left in this quick reaction. Not much more to talk about. The offense was solid, but they just weren't consistent. Pavia couldn't get much going. Had some really nice throws, but just their defense is just too damn fast, and they just can't. Vandy couldn't move the ball on them, and they couldn't do a whole lot. And I thought the game plan was probably a little too conservative. I think they're playing like they're banged up. I think they game planned like they were banged up. And for the second straight week, I think that Tim Beck was just kind of, I don't want to say lost, but I just didn't feel like the game plan was as aggressive as previous game plans have been. I don't feel like they felt like they could attack this defense the way that they attacked Bama's defense or even Kentucky's defense or Virginia Tech's defense. Like I didn't feel like they took the game to South Carolina. I think they were just trying to. It was like a heavyweight boxing match where they're just kind of feeling each other out, jab here, jab there, and first to land the haymaker controls the fight, and South Carolina was able to do that. And so, I think over the bye week, when you're looking at LSU and Tennessee, I think the thing that gives Vandy the most edge and the most ability to win these games, like I think the reason they won against Alabama and Virginia Tech and Kentucky on the road and Auburn on the road, and they had a near miss with Texas and a near miss with Missouri, who was top 10 at the time, which knowing what we know now, that's not quite as impressive, but nonetheless at the time they were a lot better earlier in the season. But just Vandy's got to come out, and they've got to. I mean, Vandy's Vandy, okay? And we still need to understand that yes, they were ranked. Yes, they've played some really good football. But part of that was they were playing with nothing to lose. Like their mindset was a lot different. Looking back, they were playing with reckless abandon, almost like they were just going out and saying, "Hey, we're going to let it rip. If we win, we win. If we don't, we don't." Like we're massive underdogs in these games, and this is just kind of how it's supposed to be. And the last two games, they haven't played that way. They've played more of like a team that they're like, okay, well, we got to tiptoe around this stuff. We have something to play for now. We gotta, we got to tread lightly, and we got to, and some of that aggressiveness has gone out the window a little bit. And that's just what Vandy's identity is. Like they come out screaming, right? And when I say come out screaming, I'm not saying go tempo and like, 6 plays in 18 seconds. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's got to be, their aggressive style of like really trying to drive the tempo, really trying to do something up front and different looks and, pushing the ball downfield a little bit and getting the ball out on the edge. And, some of the things they did earlier in the year where they were running and gunning a little bit, and they were able to do that while being a ball control offense, which was a great balance, and it was just kind of a great mix, and it made him exciting to watch while simultaneously just slowing down the tempo of the game and grinding it down to a halt, so that they could control the ball and control the clock, and that was kind of their formula offensively. And I'm a little disappointed they've gotten away from that, because they have a capability to do some damage. Like they should have been in this game with South Carolina. Like there's no reason that they should have been, that this game should have been 28-7, right? And and South Carolina played a great game. I don't want to take anything away from that, but they're not 28-7 better than Vandy. All right. But they just had a really good game plan defensively against Vandy. They really put Vandy into a shell where it felt like you knew that Tim Beck and Jerry Kill felt like that they were genuinely stumped, and they didn't have any answers for what was happening. And defensively, it's a lot to handle Lenora Sellers and Rocket Sanders, and then when these receivers who hadn't really done a whole lot of in talking to Chris Marler, they had some really nice games too as well. So again, hats off to South Carolina. They controlled a lot of that. They were able to take control of this game, and that's something that Vandy wasn't able to do. Cooper, I mean, you guys, hats off to you guys, man. Hats off. You guys played really well, and that was the South Carolina team that I think a lot of you South Carolina fans were hoping that they would be. That was the team that I thought should have beat LSU, right? And that was the team that played against LSU, right? That was the team that blew out Oklahoma, right? That's the South Carolina that showed up, right? And that's a dangerous team, man. That's a dangerous team. But again, it's disappointing. 16th in a row now. Streak continues. Not great, but it is what it is, man. And it just lets you know where Vandy is. Vandy's still a good football team. I don't think this was South Carolina was great and Vandy was bad. I thought Vandy was good and South Carolina was better. And I thought Vandy had a good game plan initially. I thought they were executing it pretty well initially, especially on defense. Offensively, it was kind of tough sledding, but that's what you're going to get with a defense that's constructed like South Carolina's. I thought they were starting to get some things, and then they kind of went into a shell a little bit. So, again, disappointing loss. I'm going to leave you with that. Disappointing loss, banged up, but this bye week is much, much, much needed. You get some guys rested up, practice light, rest some guys, get some reps to some backups and let them develop. Get some of your starters healthy and ready to go in 2 weeks in Baton Rouge. So that's where I'm going to leave you guys. Sorry it's a little bit later than you guys wanted, but nonetheless, we executed and here we are. But I'm going to have more for you guys on this on my next episode. I'm going to break down this loss even more. We're going to kind of dig deep into why there were so many big plays, what can be done to prevent those big plays, because LSU has a tendency to do that as I'm watching right now. And then, again, offensively, just got to figure out how to get back on track and get back to where you can, they can control the game. But anyway, thanks for joining. Pass this along, South Carolina fans. I'm sure you guys are going to be all up in the comments, which is fine. I'm expecting it. But good game to you guys, and best of luck. You guys are bowl eligible now, so I'm interested to see kind of how y'all finish up the season and where you guys get a bowl game. I will definitely be picking you in my bowl pick'em, so do not disappoint me. And glad you're on the bowl train with us. And like I said, great game. Best of luck the rest of the way. We'll see you in a bowl. Interested to see what bowl Vandy's going to be in. I think Las Vegas is the latest projection. So can't wait to see that. But anyway, like, subscribe at Locked On Vandy, at Coach Burton 36 is my personal X account. But Locked On Vandy is the show. Like, subscribe. Hey, South Carolina fans, even if you don't want to listen to me consistently or constantly or whatever, just hit that subscribe button. Get me to 500. Hell, get 1,000 of your closest friends and get me to 1,000. That would be wonderful. Just get me to that number. Listen every once in a while if you want to. Vandy fans, if you know somebody that's not subscribed, get them on this channel right now. So that being said, good night. Good win, South Carolina. Vandy, much needed bye week. We'll get this thing straight in Baton Rouge in 2 weeks. Peace. See you next time. Locked on Vandy.